Okay, so now I want to look at Digha Nikaya number 13. Pandi thinks this is an early sutta. I would say that it has some early features and also some late features. But it's an interesting sutta. And so we'll just take a look at it. And it does eventually get around to talking about the four Brahma Vihāras. Thus have I heard. Once the Buddha was wandering in the land of the Kosalans with a large sangha of 500 bhikkhus, and he stayed at a village on the banks of the river. Now, at that time, several very well-known, well-to-do Brahmins were residing there, and there's a list of them. Then the students Vasetta and Bharadvaja were going for a walk, and they began discussing what is the path and what is not the path. You ever have a discussion like that? What's the real spiritual path? What's not the real spiritual path? Yeah, okay. One said, this is the only path, his teacher's path. The other said, no, this is the only path, his teacher's path. Neither was able to convince the other one. And so Vasetta said to Bharadvaja, the ascetic Gautama, a Sakyan, gone forth from a Sakyan family. Okay, the Sakyans were a warrior culture, right? And at that time, the Brahmins and the warriors were, jockeying to see who was going to be the leaders. Eventually, the Brahmins took over from the warriors. But he's staying in a mango grove on the bank of the river. Let's go ask him about this matter and see what he has to say. So they went to the Buddha, exchanged directions. They explained, that each of them thought that their teacher taught the straight path. The path is for union with Brahma. What is the path and what is not the path, worthy Gautama? Even though Brahmas describe different paths, all of them lead someone who practices them to the company of Brahma. It's like a village or town that has many different roads nearby, yet all of them meet at the village. In the same way, even though they all describe different paths, all of them lead someone who practices them to the company of Brahma. And the Buddha says, do you say they lead? I do. You say they lead? I do. Do you say they lead? I do. Well, of the Brahmins who are proficient in the three Vedas, is there a single one of them who's seen Brahma with their own eyes? No. One of their teachers seen Brahma with their own eyes? No. Has every single one of their teachers' seen Brahma with their own eyes? No. Well, has anyone going back 7 generations seen Brahma with their own eyes? No. Well, one of the ancient seers proficient in the three Vedas, and he lists the very early Vedic teachers. They were the authors, propagators of the hymns. Vedas was an oral tradition like everything else at that time, and they were hymns, poems. Their hymnal was sung and propagated and compiled in ancient times. Brahmins continue to do that today. Did they say, we know and see Brahma, where he is, where he lies? No. So none of the Brahmins have seen Brahma, none of their teachers' teachers, not even the first ones. Doesn't their statement turn out not to have demonstrable basis? Clearly that's the case, Venerable Gautama. For it is impossible that they should teach a path to that which they neither know nor see. So if I say to you, how do you get from my house to Lake Lagunitas? Well, probably none of you have a clue how to get to my house from Lake Lagunitas. So you're not going to be able to teach a path to go from my house to Lake Lagunitas, right? Well, the Buddha is saying the same thing. If these people have never been there, how can they teach a path to get there? Suppose there were a queue of blind men, each one holding the one in front. The first one does not see, the middle one does not see, the last one does not see. In the same way, it seems to me the Brahman statement turns out to be comparable to a queue of blind men. The first one does not see, the middle one does not see, the last one does not see. Their statement turns out to be a joke, mere words, vacuous and hollow. What do you think, Vasetta? Do the Brahmins' provision in the three Vedas see the sun and the moon just as others do? Do they pray to them and exalt them, follow their course from where they rise to where they sit with joined palms held in worship? Remember, the sun and moon are considered gods in the Vedic tradition, in the Buddhist tradition, in Greek tradition, right? Yes. What do you think? Though this is so, are the Brahmins' provision in the three Vedas able to teach a path to the company of the sun and moon? No. So it seems even though they see the sun and the moon, they can't teach you how to get there. What do you think? This is crazy. Yes, Venerable Sir. For it is impossible that they should teach the path to that which they neither know nor see. They see the sun and the moon, they can't tell you how to get there, but they don't know Brahma, but they can tell you how to get there. So suppose a man were to say, whoever is the most beautiful lady in the land, it is her that I want, her that I desire. And they say, well, this most beautiful lady that you desire, do you know whether she's an aristocrat, a Brahmin, a peasant, or a menial? And he'd say, no. They say to him, do you know her name or clan? She's tall, short, or medium? Whether her skin is black, brown, or tawny? What village or town or city she comes from? No. They say, do you desire someone you've never known or seen? He'd say, yes. What do you think? This being so, doesn't that man's statement turn out to be nonsense? Clearly that's the case. In the same way, doesn't the statement of those Brahmins turn out to be nonsense? Clearly that's the case. Good, for it is impossible that they should teach a path to that which is neither known nor seen. So this simile of the man who wants to marry the most beautiful woman that he's never seen or met or anything, yeah, this is foolishness, and it shows up actually in multiple suttas. Suppose a man were to build a staircase at the crossroads for climbing up to a stilt house, a house built up on stilts, right? They'd say to him, the stilt longhouse that you're building the staircase for, do you know whether it's to the north, south, east, or west, or whether it'll be tall, short, medium? And he'd say no. And they'd say to him, are you building a staircase for a longhouse you've never known or seen? And he'd say yes. Doesn't this turn out to be foolishness? Clearly so. It's impossible they should teach a path to that which they neither know nor see. Suppose this river were full of water so that a crow could drink from it. Then along comes a person who wants to cross to the far shore. Standing on the near shore, they call out to the far shore, come here, far shore, come here, far shore. Would the far shore of the river come? No. In the same way, the Brahman's provision in the three Vedas proceed having giving up those things that make one a true Brahman and having understanding those things that make one not a true Brahman. They say, we call on Indra, we call on Soma, we call on Varuna, we call on Isana, we call on the progenitor, we call on Brahmana, we call on Mahaditi, we call upon Yama. So long as they proceed in this way, it is impossible when the body breaks up after death, it will be reborn in the company of Brahma. The Buddha is basically saying, yeah, all these guys, and clearly he knows a lot about the Vedas, right? Because he knows their name, he knows their practice. It's not going to work any more than asking the far shore of a river to come over. Suppose the river were full and along would come a person who wished to get to the far shore, but they tied him up with a strong chain. Could that person cross to the far shore? No. In the same way, the 5 kinds of stimulation are called chains and fetters in the training of the Noble One. What 5? Sights, which are known by the eye, likable, agreeable, desirable, pleasant, sensual, and arousing. Sounds, smells, tastes, touches, which are also likable, agreeable, pleasant, and arousing. These 5 kinds of sensual stimulation are called chains and fetters. The Brahmins' provision in the 3 Vedas enjoy these 5 kinds of sensual stimulation, tied, infatuated, attached, blind to the drawbacks, and not understanding the escape. So long as they enjoy them, it's possible that they will, with the break of the body after death, be reborn in the company of Brahma. Suppose with a full river, a person comes along wanting to cross to the far shore, but they lie down wrapped in a cloth from head to foot. Could the person cross the river? No, Venerable Gautama. In the same way, the 5 hindrances are called obstacles, hindrances, encasing crowds in the training of the Noble One. The hindrances are literally coverings. So, yeah, shrouds. What 5? The hindrances of sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse, and doubt. Brahman's provision in the 3 Vedas are obstructed, hindered, encased, shrouded by these 5 hindrances. So long as they are obstructed, it's impossible they will, with the break of the body after death, be reborn in the company of Brahma. What do you think? Have you heard the Brahmins who are elderly and senior, tutor of tutors, say whether Brahma is encumbered with possessions or not? That he is not. That his heart is full of hate or not? It is not. Full of ill will or not? It is not. Corrupted or not? It is not. Wield power? He does. What do you think? Are the Brahmins' provision in the 3 Vedas encumbered with possessions or not? They are. Are their hearts full of hatred or not? They are. Are their hearts full of ill will or not? They are. Are their hearts corrupted or not? They are. Do they wield power? They do not. So it seems the Brahman's provision in the 3 Vedas are not like Brahma at all. That's true. It's impossible that Brahmins who are not like Brahman will be reborn in the company of Brahma. It seems that the Brahmins have these very negative conditions that oppose what Brahma is. It is impossible that they will, at death, imagine crossing over. But this was said, Vasetta said to the Buddha, I've heard where the Gautama, that you know the path to company with Brahma. Is the village of Manasiketa nearby? Yes, it is. What do you think, Vasetta? Suppose a person was born and raised in Manasiketa. As soon as they left the town, and some people asked them for the road to Manasiketa, would they be slow or hesitant to answer? Oh, where they go to know. Why is that? Because they were born and raised in Manasiketa. They're well acquainted with all the roads to the village. Still, it's possible they might be slowed or hesitant to answer. But the Tathagata is never slow to answer when questioned about the realm of Brahma or the practice that leads to the realm of Brahma. The dwelling of Brahma, the Brahma Vihāras. I understand Brahma, the realm of Brahma, the practice that leads to the realm of Brahma, practicing in according to with which one is born in the realm of Brahma. When he said this, Vasetta said to the Buddha, I have heard that you teach the path to company with Brahma. Please teach us that path and elevate this generation of Brahmins. Well then, Vasetta, listen and apply your mind well. I will speak. Yes, Venerable Sir. Herein a Tathagata arises in this world. He teaches the Dhamma that's good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end. Possessing meaning and praising, he reveals the holy life fully and complete. A householder or a householder's child or one born to some other family hears the Dhamma, gains faith, reflects household life is crowded, path of dust. Going forth is like the open air. It is not easy for one dwelling at home to lead the perfectly complete, wholly purified, holy life, right? As a polished conch. Let me then shave off my hair and beard, put on saffron robes, and go forth and also life to homeless life. After that, they abandon their accumulation of wealth, the circle of relatives, shave off hair and beard, and go forth to homelessness. When one has gone forth, one really lives restrained by the precepts, possessed of proper behavior and resort. Having taken up rules of training, one trains oneself in them, seeing danger in the slightest faults. In other words, one keeps the precepts. One comes to be endowed with wholesome bodily and verbal actions. One livelihood is purified, and one possesses moral discipline. This is all from the Gradual Training. I've written a book on the Gradual Training. It's a free download. You see down here a link to where you can download it. And it goes into much more detail than this one paragraph on the precept. And a number of the precepts are about one's livelihood, what monks can and can't do. It's interesting. It's long and tedious, but it's interesting because it gives a view into what possible livelihoods there were for spiritual teachers at the time of the Buddha. Then, keeping the precepts, one guards the doors of the sense faculties. Upon seeing a sight, one does not grasp at the signs or secondary characteristics, lest evil, unwholesome states such as covetousness or grief overcome one. So, you know what this is? You probably can figure it out, right? It's a cell phone, a handy. How did you know that? Well, you know the signs. It's got a screen. It's got buttons on the side. It's the right shape, right size. That's the signs. The secondary characteristics are what apps I have loaded, how much memory it has, all the stuff like that, whether it's an iPhone or an Android. Those are secondary characteristics. Right? So when you see a sight, one does not grasp at the signs, immediately obvious things, or the secondary characteristics, the things that you can tell after you've digested the immediate signs. And the same applies for each of the others: sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts, mind objects. One is endowed with mindfulness and clear comprehension. There's a list of things to be mindful of, but basically mindful of everything you do. Eating, going to sleep, waking up, talking to people, speaking, keeping silent. Mindfulness all the time. The clear comprehension is to know the context of what's going on. Mindfulness by itself in the suttas is neutral, neither good or bad. In the Abhidhamma, they messed it up and said it's always good. But that's not what we find in the suttas. They're actually suttas about wrong mindfulness, such as if you're a cat burglar, one who sneaks into people's houses while they're sleeping and steals their possessions, you have to be extremely mindful. The context is wrong, right? You're stealing. So you need to be mindful, and you also need to be aware of the context. Is what you're doing something that the Buddha would approve of? That's the real question to ask. And one is content with little. The monks and nuns only needed food, clothing, shelter, and medicine if they were ill. Yeah, as lay people, we need a little bit more than that, but we don't need what the culture is telling us we need. Basically, we live in a culture that says you have any problem whatsoever, you should buy this, it's on sale. Or, are you not feeling happy enough? Buy this, you will feel happy. It's a ridiculous culture. It's the exact opposite of what the Buddha is teaching. The Buddha is saying, let go. And so be content with little. We live in a world where we're using up the resources at an unsustainable rate. This year, we used up all of the resources that can be renewed this year by July. So we're in debt now. We're using up future generations' resources. One on the spiritual path needs to be content with little. And then one abandons the hindrances. When one sees that these 5 hindrances are unabandoned, one regards that as debt, sickness, confinement in prison, slavery, a desert road. But when one sees the 5 hindrances have been abandoned, one regards that as freedom from debt, good health, release from prison, freedom from slavery, place of safety. When one sees that these 5 hindrances have been abandoned, gladness, the Pali word is pamoja, arises. When one is gladdened, rapture, the Pali word is piti, arises. When one's mind is filled with rapture, one's body becomes tranquil. Tranquil in body, one experiences happiness, sukha. Being happy, one's mind becomes concentrated, samadhi. This is sometimes referred to as the gladness pentad because there's 5 parts: gladness, rapture, tranquility, happiness, concentration. I refer to it as the jhana summary. The gladness is the pleasant sensation you need for your concentrated mind to focus on, such that the piti arises in the first jhana. When you move from the first jhana to the second jhana, tranquility arises. Once you're tranquil, you can calm things down even more to the third jhana, which is pure sukha, happiness, contentment. And from there, one can move on to the fourth jhana and be supremely concentrated. Having done that, one abides pervading 1/4 with a mind imbued with mettā. Likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth. So above, below, around, and everywhere, to all as to oneself. One abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with mettā, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and ill will. This is how we're to do the practice. Get your mind concentrated, right? Preliminaries: keep the precepts, guard the senses, be mindful, be content with little. Then abandon the hindrances. And if you can do the jhanas, get a jhanically concentrated mind. And then pervade 1/4, one direction, with a mind imbued with mettā. Think of all the beings in front of you. I don't know which way you're facing. I'm facing north, right? So everybody north of here. So North Oakland, Berkeley, Emeryville, Richmond, Northern California, Oregon, Washington, into Canada, up to the North Pole. May they all be happy. May they all be peaceful. May they all be safe. Just send the wish out for their happiness. And then the second, the third, the fourth. So you're beaming the mettā out. And this is exactly what is being taught in the book that was mentioned earlier by Analayo on compassion and emptiness, right? To beam the mettā, to get the feeling of mettā and just give it to others. And you can give it in any way you want, just wishing them to be happy, wishing them to be safe, right? But understand what mettā is and then give it to others. But also to all as to oneself. Now, as we'll see, this is a little bit ambiguous in the translation. Some translations have this. I think it's important, so I stuck it in when I typed this up, right? So you're to give the metta to everybody in every direction, but don't forget to give it to yourself. One abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with metta. There's nobody left out. It's abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. Just as a mighty trumpeter, a conch blower, a conch shell, if you cut off the end of it, you can blow it, and it's like a long trumpet because it's all wound around in a spiral. Just as a mighty trumpeter makes himself heard without difficulty in all the four directions, even so of all things that have shape or life, there's not one that one passes by or leaves aside, but regards them all with a mind set free through deep felt metta. This is the path to the company of Brahma. And then exactly the same thing is taught for karuṇā with the trumpeter, and muditā with the trumpeter, and upekkhā with the trumpeter. So now we've answered the question of how do you practice metta? Get your mind concentrated, right? And then sit there and just beam the metta out to everyone. Now, you may find it easier to start by beaming it out to the people that you know. You're in a house, if there's other people there, beam it to the people in the house. And then you can beam it out to your neighbors and your co-workers, people you see in the shops you frequent, right? And then beam it out to the whole town, city, the countryside, the whole country, whatever. You don't have to just do the four directions. It may be easier to start by beaming it to someone that you really care about, right? You already have a feeling of love for. You really wish them well. You want them to be happy and safe, right? So you get the feeling going, and then you just start giving that feeling out. And of course, always give it to yourself as well. Ayya Khema said, start with yourself and then give it out to everybody else and end with yourself. If you have trouble doing these for yourself, then start by sending it out to those that it's easy to send it to. And then keep sending it out until you've sent it out to the whole world. And then come back to yourself with that same feeling. What do you think, Vasetta? When one meditates like this, are they encumbered with possessions or not? They are not. Is their heart full of hate or not? It is not. Is their heart full of ill will or not? It is not. Is their heart corrupted or not? It is not. Do they wield power or not? They do. So it seems that one is not encumbered with possessions, and neither is Brahma. Would a monastic who's not encumbered with possessions come together and converge with Brahma, who isn't encumbered with possessions? Yes, worthy Gautama. It seems quite possible that a monastic not encumbered with possessions will, when the body breaks up after death, be reborn in the company of Brahma, who isn't encumbered with possessions. And it seems that monastic has no hate, ill will, corruption, and does wield power, while Brahman is the same in all of these. Would a monastic who is the same as Brahma in all these come together and converge with him? Yes, Venerable Sir. Good, Vasetta. It's quite possible that one will, with the break of the body after death, be reborn in the company of Brahma. When the Blessed One had spoken thus, the two Brahmins said to him, excellent, Venerable Sir, excellent, as if one were righting the overturned or revealing the hidden, pointing out the path to one who is lost, or lighting a lamp in the dark, so that people with eyes could see what's there. You have made the teachings clear in many ways. We go for refuge to the Buddha, to the teachings, to the monastic Sangha. From this day forth, may you remember us as lay followers who have gone for refuge for life. So the result of Brahma Vihāra practice in this sutta, keeping the precepts, guarding the senses, being content with little, overcoming the hindrances, leads to rebirth in the Brahma realms for lay people.